a cute 3-year-old boy. He just touched the man's face and chopped his head off. The woman calmly picked up the head, saying Dona is such a hassle. She reattached the head in a second, scaring the boy. He pointed at her nose and yelled, "Why won't you die?" She hugged the boy and said, "Because I'm a doll." But not long ago, the woman was just a lingering spirit in the liminal realm. After the world was divided into several parts, dragons, humans, and other races lived in the human realm, while demons and monsters lived in the demon world. And then there's the spirit realm where the dead reside. This woman was a resident of the liminal realm because she was the first human sacrifice in history. But to whom she was sacrificed remains a mystery. This is also why she didn't dare to reincarnate and remained in the liminal realm. One day, as a spirit, she felt heavy and cold. She suddenly opened her eyes and found she had a physical body. A group of strange-looking people stood before her. They looked at each other, speechless. The men immediately burst into tears, unable to believe they had created another failure. After the woman softly uttered the word doll, their sorrow instantly turned to joy. They began to explain to her, "You are now a powerful, immortal doll. As for your body, all of us mages spend our entire lives creating it. You can even easily eliminate a dragon now." The woman turned to look at the experimented on humans. Combining what the man had just said, she finally understood. She had become their guinea pig, forcibly pulled from the liminal realm. She calmly stood up, her spiritual power instantly enveloping everyone. She raised her hand and summoned all the spirits. Unexpectedly, this body is quite good. It can actually withstand my spiritual power. The mages, terrified by the woman's actions, frantically yelled, "Quick, kill her together." Enraged, the woman showed no mercy. She patted a dragon's belly. "Destroy everything." In an instant, fire and debris flew everywhere. The magic tower instantly turned to ruins. But within 2 days, she regretted it. She had nowhere to go. She wanted to return to the liminal realm, but this body wouldn't die. She also didn't want to live among humans. It was truly a case of easy to destroy, hard to rebuild. Just then, a man's voice rang out. The woman looked up at him indifferently. The man claimed to be the ruler of the demon world, Demon King Carlo. Hearing the name, the woman paused slightly. "Was your grandfather named Chester?" She blurted out. Demon King Carlo was embarrassed. "Why are you asking about my ancestors right off the bat? That was my great-grandfather. How did you know?" The woman leaned back, looking lazy and casual. A wet behind-the-ears brat, calling himself the Demon King, kept bragging in the liminal realm about how powerful his grandson was. This left the Demon King dumbfounded. After some conversation, he learned she was from the liminal realm, wanting to die, but unable to. The Demon King, with ulterior motives, immediately invited the woman to be his son's steward. The woman, uninterested, immediately refused. The Demon King immediately offered a temptation she couldn't refuse. "My son is the strongest young Demon King in history. After he becomes the Demon King, his immense power will be able to annihilate you." Hearing that she could die, the woman abruptly stood up, repeatedly confirming if it was true. But this immortal doll, possessing magic and being invincible, only wanted to die. But unbeknownst to anyone, she was the first person to be sacrificed. For years, she silently endured the pain of sacrifice. Originally a resident of the liminal realm, she was forcibly pulled into the physical world by humans and turned into an immortal doll. After failing to kill herself, she planned ahead. She agreed to become the young Demon King's steward. She wouldn't have to deal with official documents and troublesome matters, and she could wait for the young Demon King to grow up and kill her. It would be crazy not to agree. But on her first day of work, she gave the head steward an ulcer. She knew nothing, didn't know her race, didn't know her name. The exasperated head steward had no choice but to take her to the celestial realm and remind her of some taboos she couldn't mention in front of the young master, especially the first awakening. The woman's confused expression shocked the head steward. He had to explain the 3 awakenings of the demon race. The first awakening happens at birth, turning them into children. The second awakening transforms them into adults. The third awakening enhances their physical abilities. These 3 awakenings are usually completed within 100 years. But powerful demons' awakenings are delayed. The young master hasn't awakened even after 200 years. That's why he's still a child. Hearing this, the woman couldn't suppress a smile. It seemed that the boy really could become powerful enough to kill him. Lost in thought, her smile was sternly interrupted by the head steward. After a brief explanation, he informed the woman of the names of the servant supervisor and the saint supervisor. But when he mentioned his name, the head steward turned to look at him, his expression full of sympathy. This startled the woman a bit. However, she decided to take things as they came. She followed the head steward to meet the young Julian. Julian didn't seem to welcome her. The woman earnestly introduced herself, but watching the head steward abruptly leave, she panicked. How was she supposed to take care of a child? Was it enough just to keep him from crying? A leaf on Julian's head caught her attention. Reaching out to remove the leaf, Julian bit her arm. The sudden action shocked the woman. Was he a demon or a dog? She swung her arm up and down, but the boy held on tight, refusing to let go. Having no other choice, she forcefully picked Julian up. "What are you doing?" Julian, in a cute yet fierce tone, pointed at her nose and said, "Don't touch me. Put me down." Confused and exasperated, the woman, unsure where she had touched him, let go. With a thud, the boy fell to the ground. The little demon king had never been treated this way. He roared angrily, "Put me down, not throw me down." This distressed the woman. She had just done as he asked, and he was still unhappy. Taking care of children was truly difficult. Resigned, she picked Julian up again and gently placed him on the ground. "Is this okay?" The whole ordeal had angered Julian considerably, his face puffed up with rage. The woman couldn't resist poking his cheek. "I said don't touch me." Exploding with fury, Julian's body glowed red as he fiercely sucked the woman's blood. In an instant, her head flew off. Resigned, the woman picked up her head and put it back on. Thoroughly shocked by the scene, Julian was frightened but tried to appear tough. The woman hugged him, just as she was about to praise him for being a good boy. She remembered he was a demon and probably wouldn't like that. "Julian, you're so weird," she blurted out. In order to die, she decided to put on clothes and become a normal person. Every day, she diligently brainwashed the Demon King, hoping to die soon. She would flick his head to improve efficiency. However, before her wish could be fulfilled, things took an unexpected turn. The Demon King became obsessed with her, leaving the woman distressed and unsure where she went wrong. Thinking back to the day they met, she had hugged and carried away the little monkey king, showering him with praise and small red flowers, successfully calming the elementary school-aged Demon King. But trouble followed. Just as she finished attending to the Demon King, a hot-tempered nanny appeared, pointing at her nose and scolding her. Completely ignoring the Demon King's introduction of her as the new steward, the nanny immediately rounded up 100 people, preparing to gang up on her. The woman had initially wanted to maintain good relations. Seeing this, she scratched her head and decided against it. Raising her hand, she released her magic power, instantly subduing everyone. They ran around frantically as if possessed, the scene descending into chaos. At that moment, the head steward, who had previously slipped away, reappeared. "Stop fighting," he exclaimed. On one side were the castle knights, and on the other was the steward specifically hired by the Demon King for the young master. The exhausted head steward mediated between the two sides, finally bringing an end to the commotion. Upon learning that the woman truly was the new steward, the nanny fainted dramatically. The woman, however, turned and commented on how weak the knights were. She hadn't even used a tenth of her power. These words deeply stung the head steward. Those knights were capable of destroying an entire human nation. They were a valuable resource. To prevent further incidents, he needed to quickly inform everyone of her presence. Hearing this, the nanny, still lying on the ground, abruptly sat up and apologized to her. The woman responded indifferently. The power she had displayed intrigued the Demon King, who stared intently at her. "Are you a descent sorcerer?" he asked. The woman softly replied, "These are ghosts." The little Demon King, fascinated, tried to reach out and grab them, but he was too short. Seeing this, the woman picked up the will-o'-the-wisp and offered it to him. The moment he touched it, the little Demon King was overjoyed. His deceptively cute expression caused the woman's mind to short-circuit. Unconsciously, her hand reached out to pat his head. Realizing her mistake, she froze. Just then, the nanny abruptly grabbed her hand. "Young master, it's nap time." The little Demon King, as if he hadn't heard, stared intently at the woman's captured hand. He glared at the nanny and said, "Let go of the steward's hand." The nanny, frightened, immediately released her hand. The woman, delighted, cupped the little demon king's face and rubbed it back and forth. This displeased the little demon king. Sensing impending doom, the nanny yelled, "Steward, take your hands away." The oblivious woman, still chuckling, asked why. Crack! Both her arms were severed by the little demon king. Looking calmly at the severed limbs on the floor, she thought, this little guy has quite the temper. She calmly picked up her hands and reattached them in a second. However, it seemed she'd put them on backward. She looked at the little demon king with a bewildered expression. Could you chop them off again? He could destroy an empire with a snap of his fingers. Yet he willingly became a babysitter for a child. The reason being, he was an undying doll who yearned for death, and the child was the only one who could kill him. Hoping to realize his dreams soon, the woman decided to take meticulous care of him so he would grow up quickly. Couldn't wake him up in the morning, then launch him into the air. No more morning grumps. Refused to wash his face. Thai massage, coming right up. No more fear of face washing. Picky eater. Aversion therapy. Mom no longer has to worry about leftover broccoli. While the boy's change behavior was good, it came at the cost of countless severed hands. From 10 times a day at the beginning to once a day now, he could reattach his hands with his eyes closed. And his unexpected behavior actually made the boy fond of him. Learning that he had no name, Julian cautiously gauged his expression and suggested a name based on his pale green and red colors. Perry. He was anxious that he wouldn't like the name. The woman, Perry, was slightly puzzled. He'd never looked in a mirror. Did it mean his eyes were like peridot? Suddenly, Julian slammed the table and stood up, grabbing Perry's hand and walking forward quickly. This surprised Perry. Julian usually hated being touched. Noticing this, Julian stopped abruptly, threw off his hand, and haughtily said, "Follow me." This baffling behavior confused Perry. Men are so hard to understand. Oh well. Entering the room, Julian rummaged through drawers and pulled out a dazzling bracelet. Before Perry could refuse, he fastened it on her wrist. He then urged her to look in the mirror. Not wanting to disappoint Julian, Perry strode towards the mirror. She was surprised by her own beauty. Her fair skin and the shimmering bracelet sparkled in the light. Her pale green, intense yet dazzling beauty made her wonder why the mage had put so much effort into her appearance. It truly was just like Peridot. Hearing this, Julian preened. "Then keep it." Perry immediately replied, "I don't need it." This irritated Julian. He yelled, "Just take it." Resigned, Perry accepted the bracelet. Perhaps it was her indifferent expression that made Julian a bit sour. He muttered, "Give it back if you don't want it." Obediently, Perry started to unclasp the bracelet. Before she could remove it, the little demon king exploded in anger, yelling, "Don't take it off," and chopped off her hand. Calmly picking up and reattaching her hand, she complained to Julian, "Use your words. I may not die, but constantly reattaching my hand is troublesome." The little demon king blinked. "Will you listen to everything I say?" Perry sensed a shift in Julian's demeanor. To achieve her plan, she decided to pave her own path to death. If she disappeared after Julian awakened as the demon king, he would surely, out of spite, want to kill her. Perry, with ulterior motives, reached out to touch his face, setting a trap for him step by step. First, she flattered him with excessive praise, making him ecstatic. Then, taking advantage of Julian's concern about his uncontrollable killing, she claimed that only he wouldn't die, no matter what he did. Julian, still a child, suddenly asked earnestly, "Will you always stay by my side?" Perry answered without hesitation, "Of course." However, her overly calm demeanor made Julian uneasy. He was an immortal doll who only wanted to die, but couldn't. He decided to try nurturing her, hoping to provoke her awakening. He scooped her up, intending to put her to bed. Unexpectedly, he went too far, and the boy fell in love with her. Unfortunately, she didn't understand. She continued to dress the boy as usual, but hurt the 200-year-old little demon king's desire for independence. In a fit of rage, he tried to chop off her hand. Unbeknownst to him, this was exactly what she wanted. Everything was going according to her plan. Controlling her severed hand, she continued to dress him, adding, "If you don't want to be taken care of, then awaken quickly." This frightened the nanny quite a bit. The word awakening was taboo and shouldn't be mentioned. Unexpectedly, the little demon king didn't get angry, but nodded in acknowledgement. Seeing this, the nanny wept with joy, hugging Perry and pouring out years of pent-up tears. She had taken care of the young master for 200 years and finally saw him willing to open his heart. But the reported scene, triggered by blood, caused the little demon king to fly into a rage, forbidding the nanny from touching Perry, because he hated demons who had touched him to then touch other demons. Understanding the little demon king's implication, Perry immediately denied being a demon, claiming to be an immortal doll. The little demon king didn't believe her and started using her as a target. Even after thousands of experiments, he still didn't believe her. He had a strange premonition. Perry, noticing the little demon king's odd behavior, decided to take him out for a walk. After dressing him, she picked up the little demon king and tucked him under her arm. Feeling uncomfortable, the little demon king angrily squirmed. Perry, thinking he was uncomfortable, tried to let him go. The boy yelled in fear, "Absolutely don't let go." He didn't want to experience being dropped on the ground again. The loud noise immediately attracted everyone's attention. Seeing this, the nanny rushed over. "You can't hold a child like that." In her haste, she grabbed a blanket and gave an on-the-spot lesson on how to hold a child correctly. Perry, a quick learner, immediately changed her hold. But this way of holding him made him uncomfortable. The nanny told her to overcome it. She couldn't keep carrying him like that in front of the young master's friend. Out of curiosity, Perry asked, "Aren't all your friends corpses?" The little demon king immediately denied having any friends. Although that person is annoying, he's not a friend. Perry decided to explain what it meant to be a friend, asking him a series of questions about interacting with friends. The little demon king denied them all. "Because he helped me, he said I'm his friend." Perry told him seriously, "You're what's known as a sucker, a big idiot who gives their all for others." The little demon king, enraged, yelled that he wasn't an idiot. The nanny chimed in with more flattery. Perry bluntly said that the nanny would grow horns on her head for lying. He's the strongest demon king, but he gets his bottom smacked by the nanny for not eating broccoli. Just because the nanny is an immortal doll, Julian needs to awaken as the demon king to kill her. To help the little demon king awaken, Perry wanted him to have a balanced diet and grow up quickly. However, the little demon king threw the broccoli away in a tantrum. Perry decided to scare him. She declared that being picky would lead to poor health and a stupid brain. "If you don't want to become a sucker, don't be picky." Julian looked at the broccoli suspiciously. After a moment, he said it had nothing to do with his health. The nanny immediately chimed in, "It really will make you stupid." Perry added fuel to the fire. Unfortunately, the young master is already picky and is about to become a sucker. Julian, growing more and more terrified, yelled for everyone to bring him the broccoli. He gobbled it down, thinking it was like taking medicine. This would definitely make him smarter. To prove he had become smarter, he decided to write a threatening letter to his former friend, or rather, enemy. The letter read something like, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to tear you limb from limb." Perry was surprised to find he could understand it, even though he hadn't studied it. Now he could even offer some travel tips. Although she didn't know who he was writing to, she was surprised by his extensive vocabulary. The nanny appeared unexpectedly, peeking at the letter. Startled, she let out a pig-like squeal. This letter absolutely couldn't be sent. She would never allow the young master to write such things. Julian calmly explained it was for Laifu. Hearing this, the nanny became even more anxious. He couldn't write such a letter to his friend. Julian yelled, "He's not my friend. He's taking advantage of me." Hearing this, Perry finally understood who the letter was for. Since this person was taking advantage of him, she decided the letter should be even harsher. She immediately pointed out where revisions were needed to make it more impactful. Seeing this, the nanny quickly snatched the letter. However, Julian calmly and unhurriedly pulled out another one. Watching the letter being sent, the nanny was worried. What if that guy tried to kill the young master? That person had already awakened 100 years ago. This suddenly provoked Julian, who wanted to explode. But Perry held him back. So what if he's awakened? He's still not as strong as the young master. The nanny said it wasn't that simple. Because of the demon succession process, it was based on who was capable. As long as a stronger demon killed the current demon king, they would become the new demon king. Because of this, the young master was targeted by countless individuals. After all, he hadn't awakened after 200 years. This meant he possessed considerably powerful strength. They all wanted to nip him in the bud. Perry wouldn't allow this to happen. He hadn't fulfilled his wish to die yet. She immediately crouched down to comfort Julian. "I will always protect you, but letting someone take advantage of you is a sign of weakness. So, young master, feel free to beat him up. If you agree, I'll step in. I'm an immortal doll, willing to become a little nanny for the sake of dying just to raise the little demon king who can kill me in the future. But the sudden appearance of a game list made her head spin. Was this the nanny's wish list? The nanny repeatedly emphasized that these were games to make the young master happy. Although reluctant, Perry obediently followed along. She lifted him up with both hands, jostling his head back and forth. The nanny complained, "The young master isn't a wine glass to be shaken." Perry immediately checked the list and found she hadn't made a mistake. So she started the second item, fly to the sky, soul upside down. The nanny nearly wet herself in fright. "The young master isn't a ball. How can you throw him so far?" Perry felt she had controlled her strength. The little demon king angrily declared he wouldn't play anymore. The nanny, wanting the demon king to be happy, brought out chocolate as a bribe. She persuaded Julian to play one more game, tag. Julian suggested Perry be it and then excitedly ran off. However, the moment she called start, Perry transformed and caught him in 1 second. She was then lectured by the nanny again. "You can't be so fast. You have to match the young master's pace." Perry honestly nodded. Children's games were really difficult. The little demon king refused to play anymore. He hadn't enjoyed himself at all and had almost been scared to death. The nanny still didn't want to let go of this opportunity. "Let's play one last game, hide and seek." The three played rock, paper, scissors to decide. The little demon king would seek Perry. Looking around, Perry found there was nowhere to hide. Then she looked at a pile of grass and had an idea. After counting down silently, Julian started searching. He found the nanny in 1 second. He finally found Perry, but froze in place. Perry was in pieces, her foot stuck on her head. The nanny fainted instantly. Julian also said directly, "That's disgusting." As a result, Perry was scolded by the nanny again and punished by having to read all the parenting books. Perry carried a pile of books, preparing to read through the night, but caught Julian's attention. He said he couldn't sleep and wanted to hear a story. Just as Perry was about to start, he suddenly pulled the covers over his head and said he was sleepy, afraid of what scary story Perry might tell. Not long after, Perry heard Julian's even breathing. She decided to use the free time to finish the books the nanny gave her using magic. However, not long after, Julian woke up, saying he couldn't sleep. So Perry picked up a book, preparing to read it to Julian as a bedtime story to lull him to sleep. At first, it was a normal fairy tale, but after a dozen pages, Perry's face flushed crimson. A knight entering a princess's bedroom in the dead of night. Perry broke out in a cold sweat. Sure enough, nightly adventures were for adults only. Carefully tucking Julian in, she explained that the book wasn't suitable for children. Julian angrily yelled, "I'm not a child." Perry pressed a hand to his head. Driven by a death wish, he read the boy erotic novels late into the night. Who knew that after the young, innocent little demon king awakened, he'd want to do things with him. This panicked the immortal doll, who immediately sought out the culprit. Before he could even utter, "This book isn't right," the nanny snatched it away, then enthusiastically began to tell him how popular the book was. Before Perry could interject, the recently awakened little demon king suddenly spoke up. Perry said children can't read it, but the book mentions having adventures every night. That sounds interesting. Hearing this, the nanny froze. Immediately afterward, she flusteredly gathered her things, awkwardly saying that nighttime was only for sleeping, then grabbed the book and fled. At this point, to sober up the little demon king, Perry scooped him up, tossed him into the air, spun him 360 degrees, and then caught him securely. The little demon king clung to him in terror. Forget sobering up, his soul nearly left his body. Unexpectedly, the little demon king instinctively recoiled from his touch. This pleased Perry. Still engrossed in the adult novel, the little demon king blurted out, "How can I become an adult?" This stumped Perry. When he was alive, he was just a child and didn't understand such things. Time in the liminal realm couldn't be measured in age. He'd only been a doll in the liminal realm for a few months. After some thought, he declared self-importantly that he was only a few months old, instantly shocking the little demon king into silence. And he wanted to be an adult. Perry realized the book had influenced him. He told him that even as an adult, he wouldn't be able to read that book because it would be embarrassing. The little demon king didn't understand what embarrassing meant. After Perry's explanation, he decided being a child was the most embarrassing thing. After all, his friends had all awakened into adults, and no one came to play with him anymore. Sensing his dejection, Perry comforted him, saying that not all friends are the same. But he didn't have any friends, real or fake. Thinking of this, the little demon king became even sadder. To cheer him up, Perry complimented his cuteness. Little did he know, the little demon king was only cute around him, because the little demon king, strongly attached to him, had his own thoughts during Perry's brief absence. Only Perry was different. Only Perry could make him happy. Without Perry, he wasn't interested in anything. Thinking of this, the little demon king started to panic. He'd often seen a vacant look in Perry's eyes, as if one day he would leave him. Questioning the nanny, he learned Perry had a pact with his father. Unfortunately, he didn't know what the pact was. Otherwise, he could help Perry fulfill it. Having confirmed his feelings, the little demon king decided to act the way Perry liked. After all, Perry had called him a good boy. Just then, Perry, having been summoned, rushed back. The moment he opened the door, he saw the little demon king greeting him with a smile. Seeing the little demon king's beaming smile, Perry thought the sun had risen in the west. But the overly sweet smile startled him. He scooped him up and rushed out. The little demon king was acting so differently from usual. Something must be wrong. The man, revered as the strongest king in the demon realm, was showing a smile he hadn't shown in 200 years, all to appease a little babysitter. This stunned the babysitter. How could the once aloof young master be beaming? Scooping him up, she went to find the head steward. Unexpectedly, the little demon king's smile nearly blinded the head steward, who hurried off to find the demon king. The little demon king pouted. Am I not cute? Just then, a figure dropped from the sky. Perry immediately shielded the little demon king, subduing the assassin with a single move. The demon king arrived, and seeing the captured assassin, understood who had sent him. He pried open the assassin's mouth, placed a poison pill inside, and ordered, take the living to prison. Dispose of the dead cleanly. Perry wondered how these matters could be the head steward's responsibility. The head steward standing beside her felt awkward. Although they can't compare to you, they're all quite powerful. Although Perry didn't believe him, she still replied, I understand. At this moment, Julian grabbed Perry's sleeve. He wanted a hug. Perry, considering his safety, didn't intend to hug him. After all, he was still poisoned by the assassin. The little demon king insisted on a hug. Unable to resist his pestering, Perry gently picked him up. Unexpectedly, the little demon king suddenly confessed, I was scared Perry would die. I saw you getting hacked to pieces. The little demon king, clinging to Perry, displeased the demon king. He scoffed. What's the use of doting on your son? The head steward chimed in awkwardly. Perhaps the young master misses his mother. This provoked the little demon king. He roared, Perry is not my mother. Perry is mine. The demon king looked speechless. This scene made Perry feel awkward and speechless. She thought it was none of her business. However, not hearing a response, the little demon king continued to express his displeasure. He yelled that Perry belonged to him. The exasperated demon king conceded, your steward, of course, belongs to you. Julian instantly burst into laughter. Seeing this, the demon king was stunned. Julian actually laughed. Let's mark today as a commemorative day. The satisfied little demon king hugged Perry tightly, repeating, you are mine. Absolutely don't die. Perry, feeling helpless, had to verbally agree. After settling the little demon king, Perry went to the dungeon with the head steward. Can we get anything out of the assassin? Even though the stench of the prison cell was overwhelming, Perry didn't seem bothered. Perhaps it was because of being a doll. Seeing the assassin endure torture without speaking, Perry decided to take matters into their own hands. Raising a hand, Perry summoned ghost flames. Do you know what a soul is? These ghost flames can burn your souls. I wonder if you can endure the searing of your souls. Perry then launched the ghost flames at them. The assassins immediately begged for mercy, but Perry wouldn't let them off. Experience the feeling of being worse than dead. There's a price to pay for attempting to assassinate Julian, the naturally powerful 200-year-old little demon king. Dot is attached to an inherently immortal but death-seeking doll. He needs to be fed, needs to be coaxed to sleep. Dot and wants only Perry. He throws a tantrum if Perry is out of sight for even a moment. The little demon king's strong possessiveness. Dot is giving Perry a slight headache. Perry has to make a new plan. To encourage his independence, Perry goes to the prison to interrogate prisoners, ending up covered in blood. Even the nanny couldn't stand it and told Perry to go wash up. But the little demon king was stubborn and insisted on waiting. Perry sighed helplessly. Since becoming Julian's steward, they had been inseparable. Perry was now actually thinking, what if Julian doesn't eat? Could it be that Perry was developing feelings for him? Perry didn't understand this strange feeling. After all, once Julian awakened, Perry had to return to the liminal realm. Suddenly, a person appeared behind Perry. Hello, Steward Perry. We finally meet. Perry felt suspicious. They hadn't met this person before. The man grabbed Perry's hand and embraced them. "May I call you by your name?" Perry flung his hand away, demanding to know who he was. The man didn't answer, but instead used magic on Perry. But this level of magic was nothing to Perry. Perry sternly said, "Please refrain from using magic in the Demon King's castle." Ignoring the man, Perry left. The man hurriedly asked, "Do you really not feel anything?" Perry responded indifferently, "No." The man scratched his head awkwardly. "Do you like women, then?" Perry turned around sharply, startled. At that moment, a woman arrived. She smiled and caressed Perry's face. "I do. May I call you by your name, Steward?" Perry immediately replied, "No." Feeling mocked, Perry became irritated. "Let's have a brawl first, then talk." Perry grabbed both of them. The next second, the head steward came running, panting. "Perry, don't be impulsive. Let them go first." He explained that they were the head maid and the head servant. But since Perry's first day of work, they had never been seen. "Don't they work?" The head steward explained, "They're mainly responsible for dealing with intruders in the castle." Perry recalled the assassination attempt on Julian and hadn't seen these two. Feeling guilty, the head maid muttered, "We just caught a demonic hand. And Miss Perry is so powerful. Are you tired of absorbing human essence? Want to improve your diet?" The next second, the head steward stepped on her. Turning to Perry, the head steward wondered internally, did Laifu really send this? Perry lowered her head in thought. Laifu was the one Julian had written the threat to. The head steward's face was filled with shock. He's the illegitimate son of Duke Zelta. The Duke probably hasn't bothered with Laifu, since his citizens are on the brink of death. Perry looked at the letter in her hand. It must be Laifu. The messenger had malicious intent. How despicable. He doesn't have the guts to confront us directly, so he resorts to dirty tricks. He dared to send assassins to attack Julian. He's the strongest king in the demon realm, yet he was betrayed and ambushed by a friend. The assassination failed, so he sent a letter preparing to use underhanded tactics. But the 200-year-old little demon king was unconcerned. He only wanted to have breakfast with his nanny. The little demon king's affection for Perry ignited a fighting spirit in the heartbroken nanny, who was contemplating death, and she formulated a plan to kill Laifu. The head maid and the head servant, who were present, would be useful. Without allowing them to question her, Perry grabbed them and took them to see the little demon king. She ordered them to be responsible for protecting the little demon king from now on. When the little demon king learned they would be accompanying them, he immediately disagreed. The two grinning ghosts said they wouldn't let the little demon king see them. At that moment, Julian's gloomy face made them disappear instantly. The two vanished with a whoosh. Perry wondered why he was acting like that. Was he just too hungry? The little demon king was about to deny it when a nanny ruthlessly exposed him. Young Master's stomach has been rumbling for a while. Perry learned that the little demon king hadn't eaten anything because he was waiting for her. But in order to teach the person who attacked the little demon king a lesson, she needed to write a letter and send it out now. She had no choice but to ask the little demon king to be patient a little longer. Hearing about the letter, the little demon king was a bit puzzled. Perry explained those assassins last time were sent by Laifu, so we need to go deal with that bastard together. This time, Julian didn't hesitate. With a flourish of his pen, he finished writing in 3 seconds. After Julian finished writing, Perry took the letter to review it. The head steward spoke up from beside her. Young Master was attacked. We've worked hard to keep this from the outside world. Can we really send this? Although the letter didn't explicitly state that the little demon king was attacked, anyone with a discerning eye would understand the implications. Perry nodded slightly. Writing this is precisely to make them aware. Anyone who dares to bully the little demon king before his awakening will pay the price. A demon's awakening occurs in 3 stages. The first awakening releases demonic energy. The second awakening grants comprehension of magic. After the third awakening, they gain a powerful demonic body. Completing these 3 stages takes an average of 100 years. There's nothing more terrifying in the demon realm than a late awakening. What's even more frightening is that Julian has been safe and sound up until now, thanks to the powerful energy within him. The nanny was restless. Master, are you sure it's all right to do this? Perry, in control of the situation, ignored her and immediately ordered Leon to deliver the letter. Leon, unwilling to comply, was punched and had no choice but to obey. Then Perry instructed the nanny to tell the head steward the destination after they left. To prevent Julian from being harmed again, she had to send a threat to kill Laifu. This would let everyone know that even without the Demon King's protection, Julian wasn't someone to be trifled with. Perry turned and instructed the little Demon King, "Without my permission, you cannot use your demonic powers. Even if you're about to die, you can't use them." Julian asked with confusion, "What if I die?" Perry crouched down and said gently, "Don't you have me?" Julian's gaze was firm. He would, of course, trust Perry. She had planned everything. Perry led the head maid and the head servant towards Laifu Naz, who plotted against the little Demon King. He was an immortal doll who longed for death, but couldn't die. He decided to raise the boy to stimulate his awakening, picking him up to put him to bed. Unexpectedly, the boy fell in love with him. Too bad he didn't understand. He continued to dress the boy as usual, but hurt the 200-year-old little Demon King's desire for independence. In a fit of anger, he threatened to chop off his hand. Little did he know, this was exactly what he wanted. Everything was under his control, manipulated according to his plan. With his hand severed, he continued dressing him, adding, "If you don't want to be taken care of, then hurry up." This frightened the nanny quite a bit. The word awakening was taboo and shouldn't be mentioned. Unexpectedly, the little Demon King didn't get angry. He even nodded, indicating he understood. Seeing this, the nanny wept with joy. The nanny, overwhelmed with emotion, embraced Perry, tears streaming down her face. She had cared for the little Demon King for 200 years and finally witnessed him opening his heart. However, the report triggered the little Demon King's anger. He forbade the nanny from touching Perry because he detested demons who had touched him touching anyone else. Understanding the little Demon King's implication, Perry quickly denied being a demon, claiming to be an immortal doll. The little Demon King remained unconvinced and began using her as a target. Even after countless experiments, he still harbored a strange premonition. Noticing the little Demon King's strange behavior, Perry decided to take him outside. After dressing him, she tucked him under her arm. The uncomfortable little Demon King squirmed and protested. Thinking he was uncomfortable, Perry put him down, prompting the boy to yell that she absolutely must not let go. He never wanted to experience being dropped on the ground again. The loud yell attracted everyone's attention. Seeing this, the nanny rushed over, exclaiming, "You can't hold him like that." In her haste, she grabbed the little Demon King and demonstrated the proper way to hold him. Perry quickly understood and adjusted her hold, finding the new position much more comfortable for the little Demon King. The nanny urged him to overcome his discomfort, saying he couldn't be carried like that in front of his friends. Curious, Perry asked, "Aren't all your friends corpses?" The little Demon King immediately denied having any friends. Although he admitted someone was annoying, he insisted they weren't friends. Perry decided to explain what constitutes friendship. She asked him a series of questions about interacting with friends, all of which the little Demon King denied. Because Perry helped him, he claimed she was his friend. Perry seriously told him, "You're a pushover, a naive fool who gives their all to others." The embarrassed little Demon King yelled that he wasn't a fool. The nanny chimed in with flattery. Perry bluntly stated that the nanny would grow horns if she lied. The next day, the little Demon King was spanked by his nanny for refusing to eat his broccoli. This was because the nanny was Yuri, an immortal doll, and only Julian, awakened as the Demon King, could kill her. To help Julian awaken as the true Demon King, Perry wanted him to have a balanced diet and grow quickly. However, the little Demon King threw a tantrum and tossed the broccoli aside. Perry decided to scare him, sternly explaining that picky eating leads to poor health and a dull mind. "If you don't want to be a pushover, don't be picky," she warned. Julian looked at Perry skeptically. After a moment, he stated it had nothing to do with his health. The nanny immediately exclaimed that it really would make him stupid. Perry added fuel to the fire, lamenting that the little Demon King was already picky and about to become a pushover. Growing increasingly alarmed, Julian loudly ordered everyone to bring him the broccoli. He wolfed it down, thinking of it as medicine that would make him smart. To prove his newfound intelligence, he decided to write a threatening letter to his former friend, or rather, his enemy. The letter declared his intent to kill the recipient and tear them limb from limb. Perry was surprised he could write, having never learned. She even offered some writing advice, though she didn't know who the letter was for. She was impressed by his vocabulary. The nanny appeared unexpectedly and peeked at the letter, letting out a startled squeal. She insisted the letter couldn't be sent. She wouldn't allow the little demon king to write such things. Julian calmly explained that the letter was for Anne. The nanny became even more frantic, arguing he couldn't write such a letter to a friend. Julian roared, "He's not my friend. He treats me like a pushover." Hearing this, Perry finally understood who the letter was intended for. Since the recipient treated him like a pushover, Perry encouraged him to write something even harsher, offering suggestions for improvement. The nanny snatched the letter, but Julian calmly produced another one. Watching the letter being sent, the nanny worried. What if that guy tries to kill the little demon king? He awakened 100 years ago. This triggered Julian's anger, but Perry calmed him down. "So what if he's awakened? He's still not stronger than you," she reassured him. The nanny explained that it wasn't so simple. Demonic succession was based on strength. Any strong demon could kill the current demon king and claim the throne. That's why the little demon king is targeted by so many. After all, he hasn't awakened after 200 years. This means he possesses considerably powerful magic. They all want to nip him in the bud. Perry wouldn't allow this to happen. He hadn't fulfilled her death wish yet. She immediately crouched down to comfort Julian. "I will always protect you, but we won't let those who take advantage of you get away with it. Showing weakness only encourages them. So go ahead and give them a good thrashing. If you want me to step in, I will." To soothe the little demon king's mood, the nanny brought a list of games. Perry glanced at it. "Isn't this the nanny's wish list?" She quipped. The nanny repeatedly insisted it was a list of games to make the little demon king happy. Although exasperated, Perry complied. She lifted him up in her arms and started bouncing him up and down. The nanny scolded her. "The little demon king isn't a bottle of wine to be shaken." Perry immediately checked the list. She hadn't made a mistake. So she moved on to the second item. With one toss, he soared skyward, his soul nearly leaving his body. The nanny nearly wet herself in fright. "The little demon king isn't a ball. How could you throw him so far?" Perry felt she had controlled her strength. The little demon king angrily declared he wouldn't play anymore. The nanny, still determined to make the little demon king happy, brought out chocolate as a bribe. She persuaded Julian to play one more game, tag. Julian insisted Perry be it. He then excitedly ran off. However, the moment the game started, Perry transformed and tagged him in 1 second. She was then lectured by the nanny again. "You can't be so fast. You have to match the little demon king's pace." Perry slowly nodded, understanding. Children's games are really difficult, she thought. The little demon king refused to play any longer. He hadn't enjoyed himself at all and had nearly been scared to death. The three of them played rock, paper, scissors to decide who would seek. The little demon king lost. Perry looked around, finding no place to hide. Then, looking at a pile of grass, she had an idea. Julian counted and began searching. He found her in 1 second. The nanny finally found Perry, but froze in place. Perry was in pieces, her feet stuck on her head. The nanny fainted on the spot. Julian also commented, "That's disgusting." Perry was then scolded by the nanny, who told her to read all the parenting books. Perry, holding a stack of books, prepared to read through the night. This caught Julian's attention. He said he couldn't sleep and wanted to hear a story. Just as Perry was about to begin, he quickly pulled the covers over his head, claiming he was sleepy. He was afraid of what terrifying story Perry might tell. Soon, Perry heard Julian's even breathing. She decided to use the free time to magically read through the books the nanny had given her. However, Julian soon woke up, saying he couldn't sleep. So, Perry picked up a book, preparing to read it to Julian as a bedtime story to lull him to sleep. It started as a normal fairy tale, but after a dozen pages, Perry's face flushed crimson. The knight entered the princess's bedroom in the dead of night. Covered in a cold sweat, Perry immediately closed the book. Every night's adventure is indeed for adults only, she thought. Carefully tucking Julian in, she explained that the book wasn't for children. Julian angrily roared, "I'm not a child." Perry reached out and patted his head. Unexpectedly, the little demon king, influenced by the nighttime reading, declared he wanted to makapaka with her when he grew up. This flustered the immortal doll, who immediately sought out the culprit. Before she could say anything about the book being inappropriate, the nanny snatched it away and enthusiastically began praising how popular it was. Before Perry could respond, the newly awakened little demon king suddenly interjected. Perry said children shouldn't read it, but the book mentioned having adventures every night. That sounds interesting. Hearing this, the nanny froze. Flustered, she quickly gathered her things, awkwardly stating that nighttime was only for sleeping. She then grabbed the book and ran off. At this point, Perry, wanting to snap the little demon king out of it, picked him up and tossed him into the air. She then spun him 360 degrees before catching him securely. The terrified little demon king instantly clung to her. Forget snapping out of it. His soul nearly left his body. Perry was relieved to find that Julian, the little demon king, was progressing and rejecting those who excluded him. However, Julian, still engrossed in adult novels, immediately asked how he could become an adult. This stumped Perry. When she was alive, she was just a child, understanding little. Time in the liminal realm doesn't count towards age. Having been pulled into the liminal realm and turned into a doll only a few years ago, after some thought, she declared with conviction that she was only a few months old. This stunned the little demon king. He didn't believe her, and he wanted to be an adult. Perry realized the book in the room had influenced him. She told him even if he became an adult, he wouldn't be able to read that book without feeling embarrassed. The little demon king didn't understand embarrassment. After Perry explained, he decided it was more embarrassing to be a child. After all, his friends were all striving to become adults, and no one wanted to play with him. Perry sensed his dejection and comforted him, saying not all friends are the same. But he didn't have any friends, real or otherwise. Thinking of this, the little demon king became even sadder. To cheer him up, Perry complimented him on his cuteness. Unbeknownst to her, the little demon king was only cute in front of her. Deeply attached to Perry, he secretly formed his own thoughts during the short time she was away. Only Perry was different. Only Perry could make him feel happy and touched. Without Perry, he had no interest in anything. Thinking of this, the little demon king began to panic. He had often seen a look in Perry's eyes, as if one day she would leave him. Upon pressing the nanny, he learned Perry had an agreement with his father, but unfortunately, he didn't know what it was. If he knew, he could help Perry fulfill it. Having made up his mind, the little demon king decided to act the way Perry liked. After all, Perry said he was a good boy. At that moment, Perry, having been notified, quickly opened the door to see the little demon king greeting her with a smile. Seeing him beaming, Perry thought the sun had risen in the west, but his overly sweet smile made her feel apprehensive. Scooping him up, she rushed outside. The little demon king's behavior was drastically different from usual. Something was definitely wrong. The man, revered as the strongest king in the demon realm, was trying to please his little nanny, showing a smile he hadn't shown in 200 years. This stunned the nanny. How could the once aloof young master be so cheerful? She scooped him up and went to find the head steward. Unexpectedly, the little demon king's smile cracked the head steward's glasses. He hurried off to find the demon king. The little demon king pouted, "Am I not cute?" Just then, a figure dropped from the sky. Perry immediately shielded the little demon king, subduing the assassin with a single move. The demon king arrived, and seeing the captured assassin, understood who sent him. He pried open the assassin's mouth and placed a poison pill inside. He ordered them to take the living to prison and dispose of the dead. Perry was puzzled. These matters were usually handled discreetly. The head steward was embarrassed. Although they can't compare to you, they are quite powerful. Perry, though skeptical, replied, "I see." Julian tugged at Perry's sleeve, wanting a hug. Concerned for his safety, she hesitated, as he might still be contaminated with the assassin's poison. The little demon king insisted on a hug. Unable to resist his pleas, she gently picked him up. Unexpectedly, he suddenly confessed, "I was afraid Perry would die. I saw you being cut into pieces." The little demon king, clinging to Perry, displeased the demon king. He scoffed, "What's the use of raising a son?" The head steward chimed in, "Perhaps the young master misses his mother." This provoked the little demon king. He roared, "Perry is not my mother. Perry is mine." The demon king looked dumbfounded. This made Perry speechless with embarrassment, thinking this had nothing to do with her. But not hearing a response, the little demon king continued, insisting that Perry belonged to him. The exasperated demon king relented. "Your caretaker, of course, belongs to you." Julian instantly burst into laughter. Seeing this, the demon king was stunned. Julian had actually laughed. This day must be commemorated. The satisfied little demon king hugged Perry tightly, repeating, "You're mine. Don't you dare die." Perry, feeling quite helpless, verbally agreed. After settling the little demon king, Julian, she went with the head steward to see if the emperor could extract any information from the assassin. Even though the stench of the prison cell was overwhelming, Perry didn't mind. Perhaps it was because of the doll. Seeing the assassin enduring torture without speaking, Perry decided to take matters into her own hands. Raising her hand, she summoned wisps of ghost fire, asking them if they knew of the existence of souls. These ghost fires can burn your souls. I wonder if you can withstand the searing of your souls. She then directed the ghost fire towards them, scaring the assassins into begging for mercy. But Perry wouldn't let them off easily. Experience the feeling of being worse than dead. You'll pay the price for attempting to assassinate Julian. However, when the little demon king woke up and didn't see Perry, he threw a tantrum, giving Perry a slight headache. She had to revise her plan to make him independent. She went to the prison to interrogate the prisoners, getting covered in blood. The nanny, watching from the side, couldn't stand it and told her to go wash up. But the little demon king was very stubborn and insisted on waiting for her. Perry sighed helplessly. Since becoming Julian's caretaker, they had never been apart. She was actually starting to miss Julian. Could she be developing feelings for him? She didn't understand why she had such a strange feeling. After all, once Julian was safely awake, she had to return. Just then, someone suddenly appeared behind Perry. "Hello, caretaker Perry. We finally meet." Perry paused, sensing she had never met this person. Suddenly, the man grabbed her hand and boldly asked, "Can I call you Perry?" Perry flung his hand away and demanded to know who he was. The man didn't answer, but tried to use magic on her. However, this level of magic was nothing to Perry. She sternly stated, "Please refrain from using magic in the Demon King's castle." Ignoring the man, she left. The man hurriedly called after her, "Do you really not feel anything?" Perry flatly replied, "No." The man awkwardly scratched his head. "Do you prefer women?" Perry turned around sharply, startled. At that moment, a woman arrived. The woman smiled and touched Perry's face. "Lovely. Can I call you by your name?" "Caretaker." Perry immediately replied, "No." Feeling mocked, Perry was annoyed and grabbed both of them, deciding to give them a beating first. The next second, the head steward came running, panting, telling Perry not to be impulsive and to release them. He explained that they were the head maid and the head servant. But since Perry's first day of work, she had never seen them. Didn't they work? The head steward explained that they were mainly responsible for dealing with intruders in the castle. Perry recalled the time Julian was attacked and didn't see these two anywhere. Feeling guilty, the head maid muttered, "We just caught a leftist." "And Miss Perry, you're so. Wouldn't you like to improve your diet by absorbing some human essence?" The next second, the head steward stepped on her foot. He turned to Perry, thinking to himself that she was truly a walking disaster. Perry looked down and thought. The walking disaster was Julian, given his bloodthirsty nature. The head steward's face was filled with shock. He's the illegitimate son of Duke Zelcamo. I doubt the Duke has experienced Julian's wrath, considering their citizens are struggling to survive. Perry looked at the letter in her hand. It must have been sent by someone with malicious intent, too cowardly to confront them directly. So they sent assassins to attack Julian. The strongest Demon King was being used as a scapegoat. Even former friends sent people to assassinate him. Seeking revenge, the little Demon King planned to single-handedly take on everyone in the demon world. And the world's strongest nanny decided to bring 2 more people along. After all, she still had a gift to deliver. But as soon as they arrived at their destination, the little Demon King was mocked by his former friend, Laifu. "Isn't this Julian still not weaned at 200 years old? What brings you here? Is that your new nanny next to you?" Laifu's precise taunts made the little Demon King tremble with rage, wanting to kill him. Perry, noticing Julian's emotions, quickly leaned down to comfort him and explained to Laifu that she was the little Demon King's caretaker. Unexpectedly, this only provoked Laifu further. Someone who hasn't even awakened has a caretaker. It seems the Demon King has gone to great lengths to have so many people fawning over you. I heard something unpleasant happen to you. This infuriated the little Demon King, but he had to control his temper. Perry, on the other hand, remained calm. Laifu would definitely regret saying those words later. Perry replied superficially that Laifu had indeed been ambushed, but the mastermind hadn't been found yet. That's why she came to her old friend for help. Lifu ignored Perry and instead noticed the infatuated man. Leon said with a smile, "I am the head servant." This made Lifu laugh so hard his teeth almost fell out. He pointed, but didn't ask any questions. At this moment, Perry introduced Leon and presented the gift she had prepared in advance, apologizing for the previous incident with Julian's letter. Lifu pushed his luck, saying that if he wasn't satisfied, he would demand a replacement until he was. Perry claimed he would definitely be very satisfied with this gift. The man laughed, saying, "That's not necessarily true." But the moment he opened the box, his smile vanished. Could they already know who sent the assassins? Perry's next words confirmed this suspicion. "These are the men you sent. Using holy monks is a bit much, but I believe you'll understand." The man frowned and, with a flash of anger, ordered his knights to seize them. Perry then told Leon to quickly seal the area. The sealing was so fast that the guards outside hadn't even reached the door before it suddenly closed, trapping them outside. Perry then handed a glass bottle to Julian, telling him to consume its contents. "Don't underestimate this potion. I swiped it from the head steward last night, just for this moment." The little demon king didn't hesitate and downed it in one gulp. Immediately, a powerful aura emanated from him. Perry calmly said, "Unleash your power." The little demon king mercilessly slaughtered all the underlings, making them pay for their previous taunts. He finished them off in a few swift moves. The maids on the side were stunned. They hadn't expected the young master to be so powerful after drinking the potion. The bound Lifu, no longer arrogant, cowered in fear in the corner. After the battle, the little demon king wiped his face and instructed Perry to take Lifu back to the castle. On their way back, Perry felt something was amiss. It would have been better if the demon lord had been present. Then Julian could have absorbed more demonic energy and awakened sooner. At this moment, Lifu's drooping head caught Perry's attention. The head servant indicated that he had tampered with something. Upon returning to the castle and showing off their spoils to the head steward thought they were crazy. "And what's with the blood on the young master's face?" Julian assured him not to worry, it wasn't his. But then Julian coughed up blood. Could he be undergoing a second awakening? For the sake of awakening, the little demon king downed the poison offered by the nanny in one gulp. Within 3 seconds, he vomited blood and collapsed unconscious. The nanny was so frightened she almost fainted as well. The head steward told her not to panic, explaining that young Master Julian was undergoing a second awakening. With that, he told Perry to grab him and used a powerful teleportation to take them to the Demon King's awakening chamber. Perry was puzzled. The head steward told her to be patient, explaining that this was a necessary process for every demon. But Perry remained uneasy. Why did the water turn black when Julian entered the pool? The nanny smiled reassuringly. Only demons with the power of destruction will turn the water black. Don't worry about it. Despite the nanny's words, Perry still felt uneasy. She kept remembering the things she hadn't done for Julian yet. Even when the nanny brought out delicious food, Perry remembered Julian's dislike of broccoli. Unknowingly, her life had become centered around Julian. Thinking of his smile made Perry even sadder. After all, Julian wouldn't be a child anymore after emerging from the pool. Afraid he would forget her, Perry felt a sense of loss. She asked the nanny if he would remember everything after awakening. The nanny reassured her that awakening only meant physical growth. His memories would remain. Perry, like a child, wanted to know how much Julian would grow. The nanny enthusiastically described how handsome he would become. Perry recalled Julian's first smile at her. She wished she had recorded all his adorable moments. Days passed, and Julian showed no signs of waking, making Perry increasingly anxious. To ease Perry's anxiety, the nanny and Laya brought many books. The head servant also came to comfort Perry. The young master possesses immense power, so naturally, the process takes longer. Don't be so melancholic. But Perry wasn't melancholic. She was worried about Julian's safety. She feared he would sleep too long and forget her, and she feared he would no longer allow her to pamper him. Suddenly, Perry heard a strange noise. Teleporting to the source of the strange noise, he found himself alone, instantly attracting the attention of the goblins. "Kill him, then kill the Demon King's son." Hearing these words, Perry's expression changed drastically. She grabbed the man's throat. "You dare try to harm Julian. None of you will leave here alive." Quickly dispatching the goblins, she left one alive to report back to their leader. Trembling, The man scrambled back to the castle to report to the commander that their forces had been destroyed by a single head servant. The leader was shocked, unable to believe a mere servant could annihilate his army. A knight presented the commander's ring, finally convincing him. He suddenly recalled the recent death of Lord Luo's son, where this mysterious head servant was also present. It seems we need to reinvestigate this head servant's background. He questioned the returning knight. What distinguishing features or anything unusual did the head servant have? The knight, not daring to slack off, recounted every detail, emphasizing the head servant's lack of magic despite his immense power. This astonished the leader. Could he be the legendary servant? The boy who, at 200 years old, drank a mysterious potion for love. He unfortunately fainted, worrying his nanny sick. Thankfully, he awakened after a week. The boy became a man, his handsome features stunning the nanny. Before she could react, Julian, throwing open the double doors, embraced her tightly. Perry started to congratulate him on his successful awakening, but he pushed her away, demanding to know why she was talking and laughing with the head servant. His intense possessiveness forced Perry to relive the past. Perry punched Leon in the head repeatedly, leaving him cowering and whimpering. He dared not retaliate, knowing he couldn't afford to offend either of them. Julian then noticed the unconscious goblins. Perry explained they were intruders trying to disrupt his awakening, but she had dealt with them. Enraged, Julian unleashed his crimson magic, instantly killing the remaining intruders, leaving one alive to inform their master. With a wave of his hand, the future Demon King, Julian, completed his awakening. Unbeknownst to them, their rival, the Demon Lord's army, had already launched their plan to overthrow the Demon King, sending wave after wave of goblins to investigate Perry's background. Julian ordered the goblin bodies disposed of. Perry immediately started to comply, but Julian, distressed, called for Leon to handle it. Leon, lacking tact, commented on Perry's strength, earning him an icy glare from Julian. Frightened, Leon quickly carried the bodies away. Alone with Perry, Julian stated, "You are my head servant. You shouldn't touch dirty things." Perry thought he was being overly possessive, but he seemed just like his younger self. Relieved of her earlier worries, Perry naturally patted his head. "You can't be so possessive of your future demon queen." Julian looked at her seriously. "I don't need a demon queen. I like you. I need you." Perry told him liking and loving are different. Julian disagreed, believing love stemmed from initial liking. Perry remained unconvinced. To prove his point, Julian even consulted his father, the Demon King, who surprisingly agreed that liking and loving are indeed different. The head steward beside them pointed out the issue. "What kind of feeling do you have for Perry?" Julian answered without hesitation, "I want him by my side, because he is mine." This possessive statement alarmed both of them. You should distinguish between possessiveness and love. Seeing Julian's distress, the Demon King decided to reveal the terms of Perry's servitude. "He wants to truly die by your hand." Julian was stunned. Knowing this was hard to believe, the Demon King revealed the details of their past arrangement to Julian. Meanwhile, Perry waited anxiously outside, wondering about the lengthy conversation. Since Julian's awakening, Perry's ominous premonition of death had intensified. She planned to leave after Julian's next awakening, unaware that the death she anticipated would be averted. Because after hearing about Perry's desire to die, Julian resolved never to let him go. He emerged from the meeting room. Perry immediately asked about the travel plans and who would accompany them. Julian responded absent-mindedly, preoccupied with Perry's desire to leave him. The little Demon King fell in love with his nanny. To please her, he'd paint the entire magic pool. Even after his awakening, when he learned Perry had ulterior motives for approaching him, the cold-blooded little Demon King wasn't angry. Instead, to keep his nanny, he offered her what he considered the best gifts. But Perry, Yixin Shang Suda, wasn't interested. However, Julian's sudden change puzzled her. She didn't understand his purpose. Julian told her everything he did was to prevent her from leaving him. Perry immediately, "I won't leave you, young master." Seeing his distress, Perry firmly assured him she wouldn't leave. Perhaps love makes one foolish. Julian held out his pinky finger, wanted to make a pinky promise. After the promise, he held her hand tightly and gently bit Perry's pinky finger, then his own. This was a soul-bound oath. Perry was puzzled. Julian explained, "It's a vow that you won't leave me." Perry looked up and met Julian's affectionate and persistent gaze. She hesitated, but still voiced her unwillingness. Julian was taken aback. This was the first time Perry had said no to him. His mood was worse than he'd imagined. Sensing Julian's displeasure, Perry tried to change the subject. She offered to bet anything but her soul. Julian sternly interrupted her. Only a soul-bound oath will do, and I'm not a child anymore. Don't treat me like one. Feeling embarrassed, Perry asked why he was acting this way. Meanwhile, the Demon King was urgently dealing with a problem. Numerous Demon Dukes were inquiring about Perry. The Demon King felt uneasy and immediately ordered his subordinates to investigate. The head steward standing beside him spoke thoughtfully. Perry will be traveling with the young master. But young Master Julian is supposed to find a partner and an adjutant on this journey. What if Perry becomes an obstacle? And Julian is deeply infatuated with her. The Demon King remained calm. That's precisely why they should go together. This will be very helpful for Julian's growth. The head steward finally understood the Demon King's intentions, but worried. Do we need to protect Julian? The Demon King chuckled. The one who truly needs protection is Perry. After all, Julian could destroy her at any moment. Their discussion about the electric fruit was interrupted by a sudden knock. Seeing the glittering gold, Perry quickly looked away. Julian, while packing, sat obediently, though he seemed resigned. Unwilling to give up, he continued to parry. The most important thing now isn't the trip. To prevent his nanny from leaving, the little Demon King even resorted to a soul-bound oath. But the nanny was focused on the travel plans. She hoped Julian could find a future wife and adjutant during the trip, so she could leave with peace of mind. Julian looked gloomy. He really couldn't handle Perry. He then suggested visiting an old friend. As expected, Perry obediently went with him. Unexpectedly, upon meeting, the old friend started insulting him. Though disheveled, he remained arrogant, declaring his father would not let him go. Julian calmly replied, "Your father only has a title left. He's in no position to change anything." This made the man pause. "Are you Julian?" However, Julian didn't answer directly. Instead, he crouched down and sternly warned Laifu, "Look at Perry again and you can say goodbye to your eyeballs." Laifu, unafraid, made a snide remark under his breath, which Julian caught. He immediately used his cruel magic to embroider a flower on a man's chest. Laifu continued to provoke him. "What do you want?" Julian smiled. "You brought this upon yourself." He then instructed Perry to allow the nightmares into the prison. "I want to conduct an experiment. Let's see what happens to a high-ranking demon when their essence is drained by nightmares." Laifu finally panicked. "Aren't we friends?" Julian quoted Perry's earlier words. "Making things up is different from being friends." News of Julian's punishment of Laifu quickly reached the Demon King. The Demon King didn't react much, only noting that his son's methods were very much like his mother's. Immediately afterward, the head servant reported another important piece of news. The Demon Duke had arrived at the Demon King's castle, searching for Laifu. It wouldn't be long before he discovered Laifu's whereabouts. The Demon King smiled calmly and immediately issued 2 orders. First, Perry was to keep Julian in the castle. Second, they were to spread the rumor that Laifu was dying. Meanwhile, Perry was troubled. This was the first time Julian had asked for her since his awakening. Should she just toss him around like before? Disturbed by her thoughts, she knocked on Julian's door. Unexpectedly, Julian opened the door immediately. This surprised Perry. It wasn't how she imagined it. Just then, she received a signal from the nanny asking for help. Perry noticed the nanny was drowning in clothes. She tried to help, but Julian became upset. "Why aren't you helping me wash my face?" The nanny chimed in, "Young master hasn't washed his face because he was waiting for you." Perry stared at him. "You're so grown up, and you still need help washing your face." Having no choice, she helped him. Julian, enjoying the attention, declared, "Washing my face used to hurt, but now I don't feel anything." Perry pinched his cheek. "Looks like you've grown some thick skin. We need to hurry up and get ready. The Demon King is throwing a grand party for you today to celebrate your successful awakening."